the final game before the All-Star game today, and the Oilers obviously taking one last opportunity to get into Hockey Night in Canada action before we take a week off, get to the All-Star festivities, and then all of a sudden, bing bang boom, we're into the back half, technically full back half of the season, the stretch run more or less, where we have to figure out what we're exactly going to be this year. We wake up this morning on Saturday. The Pacific Division 1 through 5 is separated by 5 points, and the Oilers are right in the middle of that pack. So there's a lot that the Oilers have to achieve here over the back little bit of the season remaining post All-Star break, but tonight you have one major game against the Chicago Blackhawks left, and it's major for more than just the reason of 2 points. Friends, if you're new to the channel, first off, I'd like to tell you, this is Dolynny TV. Yeah, I all of a sudden, if you've watched the channel before, you've seen I've changed that up as of late, just trying to go with a different formula, and obviously it's been working since we hit 10K subscribers, so we're not going away from that. And sudden too, if you're new to the channel, my friends, if you'd be so kind to hit the subscribe button here. Love to have you aboard for obviously what's going to be a blast of a next few months, and then going forward throughout the future too, to be able to stay up to date with all things Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, kind of booked myself a couple of off days here this week, but now there is something of substance here to talk about against the Chicago Blackhawks, and that is, well, situations pertaining to the trade deadline, right? As I think you saw yesterday, Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic mentioned Patrick Kane has been checked in on by the Edmonton Oilers and kind of talking more or less what the Blackhawks mean to the Edmonton Oilers trade deadline plans. And more or less, this is legitimately one of the best parts about having a really good buddy doing this now, too, is that you can kind of play off their ideas and sit there and kind of take it in a different direction if you so choose. So, obviously, Patrick was delivering the news that yes, it appears the Oilers have checked in again on Patrick Kane, although he feels that it's much more likely the New York Rangers take the big swing. But it kind of mentioned the three other guys the Oilers may be interested in the Chicago Blackhawks organization prior to the trade deadline. That being Jonathan Toews, Sam Lafferty, and Max Domi. And you look at this and you sit here and you say, well, hey, guess what? The Oilers have played the Hawks twice so far, and now the Oilers will play the Hawks tonight to close out the season series. And it's one last major look at what are three potential huge trade acquisitions for the Edmonton Oilers. Because no matter how you cut it here, I don't care what you think of Max Domi. I don't care what you think of Sam Lafferty. I don't care what you think of Jonathan Toews. All three of those players, no matter where you suit them in the Oilers lineup, are an upgrade at worst over the worst guy we've had suit up in the Oilers lineup this season, whatever position, whatever role you want to say. And I think for Jonathan Toews, he may be declining at this point in his career, but he's still a very valuable player for any team looking to go deep in the playoffs. Sam Lafferty, I think Oilers fans, nobody's really got anything bad to say about Sam Lafferty. I think everybody's all in on Sam Lafferty. And then Max Domi, it's a little divisive there depending on what you value for your top six, bottom six forwards. But that's kind of the fun of this. So I just want to kind of quickly give you my thoughts on where I'd be sitting on that. Right now, for the Chicago Blackhawks, Max Domi is actually leading the team. Everybody talks about how Patrick Kane's this big trade acquisition, but Max Domi is actually the best Blackhawk on the team this year, playing 47 games, having 34 points, 14 goals, 20 assists, and really out of the top four guys, five guys, six guys, having the best plus minus on the team. Again, how much you value plus minus, neither here nor there, just giving you some relative terms. He's shooting 13.1% this season, so it's one of those things here for the Oilers. I think the big shiny acquisition target from the Chicago Blackhawks should be Max Domi. Like when you're talking like, is it Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, or Max Domi? I think just in terms of what the Oilers may want to do in terms of building this team into a repetitive winner, whether you consider winning as going into the Stanley Cup Finals every year, or whether you consider it only as winning the Cup, Max Domi, I believe, is one of those guys that you could use to definitely get there year after year after year. Patrick Kane, right, 32 points in 44 games. We don't need to talk about that. We already have an 11,000 view video talking about that. Jonathan Toews, though, 27 points in 45 games played. So for Jonathan Toews, kind of another season where he does, as the captain of the Blackhawks, exactly what is required of him. Right, you look over his past 5 games, he's kind of had a total of 3 points. Really not much offense in the last three. So watch him pop off tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. That would be very, very crucial for the Blackhawks to get a win tonight, I'm sure. But nah, just kidding. We need the win for the Oilers. But you look for Jonathan Toews here. His season overall, 27 points in 45 games played. That this year, 37 points in 71 games. So at worst, he's an upgrade over a guy like Derek Ryan, which I mean, Derek Ryan's come on as of late. Derek Ryan's been a half feel good story this year as he closes in on 500 games. All that's fine and dandy, but when it comes down to it for those guys, right, is if you can upgrade, the Oilers obviously have to find a way to upgrade. And Jonathan Toews, again, that's the big shiny target there kind of deal I get to, is kind of scary because of his contract, right? And I don't even want to start discussing how the Oilers make the contract work. Whereas Max Domi, you could simply put and fire a Jesse Puljujärvi and a first round pick over for Max Domi if you want, and you can probably get the deal done with the Chicago Blackhawks, who are probably looking for first round picks. So Max Domi at $3 million this year. And then, of course, there is the other target everybody's probably waited for me to talk about in Sam Lafferty, who's making $1.15 million. So you can flip a guy like, I don't know, Derek Ryan and some kind of pick. You can flip some kind of use over for Sam Lafferty, who's got this year and next left on his contract. He's a guy who's had 17 points in 41 games played this year. A guy who's scored over, well, pretty much almost 40% of his career points this season alone in Chicago. So that's kind of where we're sitting with Sam Lafferty at 27 years old. I think he'd be a really nice little addition to this Oilers team, right? A guy who kind of grinds it out, bigger body in the bottom six, right? 6'1", 195, can play the wings, can play center, can do whatever you need him to do. So that's the nice part about Sam Lafferty is there's a lot of options there for the Oilers if they want to acquire him. But I think realistically, if I'm tiering how this goes for the Oilers, is it's one of those things you look at Max Domi. I think he's the big shiny offensive acquisition kind of target you should be looking for. Secondary to that, Jonathan Toews is that veteran presence that maybe the Oilers are lacking, and that veteran calmness that in the locker room when you're down by one, needing a goal in the third period to send this series to Game 7. That's kind of the guy you'd probably want to have in your locker room. And Sam Lafferty is kind of that playoff kind of player that you like to have around because his kind of game excels in the playoffs from everything we have been told here in Oilers land over the past several months. Friends, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning and even dealing with the botched opening intro there. But hey, I talked a little longer in the first few sentences there than I planned. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you a little bit closer to game time. I'm sure something's going to pop up, but for right now, I'm going to go enjoy some French toast crunch and we're going to get on with the day here, house sitting as it might be for some friends. I am still butchering this. We'll catch you later.